Welcome to the Three Moons, Three Souls podcast with host Jacqueline Burke. Today's special guest is Shelley Kitching.
Good afternoon, Shelley. Welcome to our podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Jackie. How are you?
Oh, good, good, good. It's a beautiful day, so I can't complain.
Yeah, it's wonderful to actually see the sun.
Yeah, right? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, it's been a long winter.
it has.
So I have some questions for you.
Sure.
Um, on the podcast, we like to dive back and honor the little girls that we were.
Okay.
So, what did you want to be when you were a little child, Shelley?
Interesting, like probably had the same dream as other young girls, like wanted to be an actress or a
Oh,
singer.
yeah.
Um, but it's interesting because I think back on it and I realized that I could never picture myself doing, acting or singing, but I wanted to be famous because I wanted to help people. And I didn't know how else I'd be able to help people unless people knew who I was. So that was acting and singing were my logical go-tos.
Yeah, and that was pretty much everyone's, I think, like back in our day where,
Yeah.
that's all we had. No social media, no nothing, you just
Right.
put it on the TV or the radio,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
yeah, every little girl's dream. So, like what type of acting? Was it television or movies or
Probably more television because I hadn't seen a lot of movies when I was younger.
yeah,
So,
well, that's good. So who inspired you as a child?
I thought about that question and I honestly don't think anybody really inspired me. Um, I found that what I did when I was a child was mostly try to please everybody else around me.
Yeah,
And so that was really not inspiring at all. It was really, um, it was almost belittling to myself by not honoring who I was and
yeah.
just trying to be who everybody else wanted to be or who I thought other people wanted me to be.
Oh yeah, I can relate to that. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people can out there, it was that era, that generation, I suppose.
Yeah.
We were taught to respect our elders and, just do as you're told, and that was it.
Yeah. Well, and I also wanted to be, I wanted to be liked.
Yeah,
And I struggled with that, especially with my peers.
yeah,
So I was like, how do I act to be, likable? And it's very disempowering.
yeah. So how did you kind of find your way out of that? Like, how did you get into your comfort zone?
You know what? It wasn't until, 20 years after the fact
Yeah.
that I started looking and really it led me to like 40 years of depression.
Yeah.
But about, 20, 25 years into it, probably when I was close to 30ish, I was really looking for something I'd been doing traditional medicine and whatnot to help me with my depression, but
Mhm.
I found that there was something missing. So I went searching for that missing piece.
Mhm.
And that was really what inspired me to get out of that, to get my life together and to become the person I am today, which
Yeah.
is still a work in process, by the way.
Well, I think it's a daily thing for a lot of us,
Yeah.
because you're always learning as you go and,
Yeah.
things change, the world changes, and you got to adjust, right? So it
Yeah.
is what it is. It's a daily thing. Uh,
Yeah.
so, okay. So now can you tell me a little bit about who you are today and what you,
Sure. So who I am today is I like to consider myself a survivor of depression
okay?
because that wasn't a foregone conclusion at times, but that path, that journey actually got me to where I am. And it was that struggle that I had and that searching for that missing piece that which I finally found was a spiritual connection.
Oh,
But I went through religion and metaphysical and self help and whatnot before I really grasped the spiritual aspect and realized that it was a total disconnect from my soul that had led me down that path. Well, I had led myself down that path by not honoring who I was my entire life.
right.
So today I feel much more aligned with who I am. I understand who I am at soul level. I'm able to live in alignment with that. Not all the time. It's like I said, it's still a work in progress. It's still easy to fall back into the comfort zone.
Right.
But that has led me into my desire to help other women not go through what I went through because it was not pleasant a lot of times. So today I feel like I'm much more functioning. I'm able to enjoy life I'm still not having, I still wouldn't say I'm absolutely thriving all the time,
Yeah.
but I'm definitely enjoying life. I definitely feel like it's good to be alive, which was not something that I felt most of my life. So that to me is just,
Yeah.
that's just a huge win.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you mind if I ask, like, who who did you reach out to get you on your spiritual path? Or was it just like a eureka moment?
Trial and error.
Yeah.
Trial and error. It was looking really, I was at a point, I still remember this. I was so disappointed in my life. I hated it. I didn't know, like, I was like, there had to be something more to life. And I
Yeah.
really wanted, let's like, I need to find a psychic who will tell me that, my life is worth living, but never really found anybody that I really felt really connected to or anything.
Yeah.
But that led me to pulling, looking at books, looking at like Sylvia Browne was one of the
Oh,
first psychics I started to read and connect with in a way that like felt like, oh, there's something more. And then I just kept experiencing more people. Somewhere in that era, John Edward was doing his
oh yes.
crossing over,
Yeah.
which just again resonated with that that made death not feel as scary, which is great.
Right.
I ended up going down the path of teaching myself oracle and tarot card readings and realizing that could help me get some information for myself. It was just a tool.
Yeah.
I have to say, finally, it was in 2013 that I discovered Denise Lynn and her soul coaching.
Okay.
And as soon as I heard about it, I heard about it on a Hay House
Oh,
event.
yeah.
And I heard about it. And I'm like, I have to do that. And then, of course, I called my best friend and went, this is what I heard. What do you think? Do you think I should
Yeah.
do it? Because I didn't trust myself.
Yeah.
And she's like, yes, Shelley, I think you should. And I mean, I'm like, okay, I'll figure out how to get the money together and come up, but I'm going down to California to train for a
Oh,
week.
wow.
And it was really great. It was a wonderful experience. And it helped me find a connection to my soul. I
Yeah.
still wasn't 100% sure how to use it. Like I am a certified soul coaching practitioner, soul coach practitioner, and I'm also a certified soul coaching oracle card reader,
Oh,
which she uses that. She teaches you how to use the cards for coaching, not just here's what we're going to predict for your future.
yeah.
And so I still use that today.
Oh,
But it was a great start. And then I kept just researching and looking because I still wasn't quite sure that I'd found I knew the missing pieces was definitely my spiritual connection to myself, to my soul,
mhm.
but how to connect with that was what I kept looking for. So, and
Yeah.
I found it with the Akashic Records
Okay.
and a modality that's called soul realignment. And basically it is, I go into the records, I find my divine soul blueprint. I didn't know my soul had a blueprint.
Yeah.
But when I found my soul blueprint and connected with that, my life made sense. Choices I'd made is like, oh, that makes perfect sense. And why everybody thought I was crazy. And I'm like, no, okay, that's
Yeah.
who I am at soul level. And realizing that I had been totally on the wrong path. And,
Yeah.
and I knew it, but I just kept going back to it because it paid the bills. The career I had chosen when I was in grade 11 was what I trained for. And now I know that, staying in something just because you've paid money to train for it and that was what all you knew when you were that age is not the way to live.
No.
So
Well,
I
you
feel like
listed
I'm
off
much
all
more on
my
my path.
favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry?
you listed off all my favorites. Sylvia Brown and
Yeah.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
gosh. So tell me a little bit about your week course then. Like what was that like?
Oh, you know what? It was really a great experience. By the way, Denise Lynn is an
Yeah.
amazing person, like just such a loving soul. Um, there was only 18 of us, which
Oh
apparently was a
wow.
small group,
Okay.
and it was all female. And it was just a really immersive experience. And I have to admit, again, my insecurities came up through that because I felt, oh, you know what? I'm not nearly as spiritual and,
Okay.
as evolved as all of these other people because they all had businesses. There were mediums, there were people that had their own type of modalities and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it was amazing because the support was just incredible. There was a group, like I mean, I still kept in touch with a number of them for like probably 5 or 6 years.
Oh wow.
So it was, and there was still that support. I remember, connecting with somebody on Facebook and, mentioning something that was going on. And she's like, here, I'm here to support you. What can I do to help?
Oh, nice.
And it was just, there was just that wonderful connection. It was a lot of, learning. If we did past life.
Oh,
So I'm certified as a past life
oh,
regressionist as
really?
well.
That's great.
So as well as the soul coaching practitioner, learning, I found it really great to realize that the soul has all the answers. You just need to learn how to get out of your own way to let that voice come through.
Yeah.
But it was really a lot of fun, and it was an experience I still treasure.
Yeah. So I'm glad you mentioned that. How do you get out of your own way? Like for your soul to, like I've
Um,
often thought about that actually, for it to have a voice to speak to you, And
well, yeah, that's an awesome question. And I think in some ways it's different for everybody,
yeah,
but your soul it's part of it's your intuition to me is your soul speaking to you.
yeah,
And it's that, I want to say, the still small voice or that quiet voice.
yeah,
It's never going to scream at you, go, hello,
yeah,
Shelley, I'm trying to get your attention. It's going to be going, Shelley,
yeah,
Shelley, do you want some suggestions?
yeah,
But the ego stands in the way, and and our
yeah,
ego is there to protect us from harm. And so even though whatever we're living right now may not be what we dream of, and it's not really super comfortable, or we're not thriving and excited to get up in the morning, we know what it is to expect during the day.
yeah,
And so our ego goes, well, we know what's going on here, so it's safer to stay here than move on. So
right.
as soon as your soul starts to interject, and you start to feel that pull to move towards something else, your ego is going to start speaking up louder and louder, and all your what I'll call paradigms are going to pop up and go, oh no, you don't have any, you don't know what you're
Yeah,
doing, you can't do that. Like, how are you going to do that? You don't have the money, you don't have the connections, you don't
yeah,
have whatever.
yeah,
So it's that allowing that to kind of go by the wayside. And I will actually connect in the Akashic field quite often. I will use cards, because again, to me, using oracle or tarot cards, and you don't have to be certified to do this. You can grab a deck of cards that you feel drawn to,
yeah,
and literally, you pull a card and look at it and go, what does this mean to me? And you're giving your mind something to do, because it's looking at the picture on the card.
right.
And then, well, it's focused on that. You'll have little thoughts come in,
Yeah,
and that's your intuition coming through.
yeah. Isn't that amazing?
It is.
Oh,
And I would say, like, there's no magic in the cards,
yeah,
but it's a tool for your mind to get out of your way, because it's busy doing something. And
yeah,
so your ego and your mind are distracted. And then you can hear that, the small suggestions, those nigging little thoughts that pop in and go, hey,
yeah,
why don't you follow that tree?
yeah,
Why don't you call that person?
yeah,
Oh, and maybe it's as big as, go read that book.
right. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So do you
So
think the ego creates the fear then?
it does, but fear is also healthy, and
Mhm.
it is a great thing to. It's funny because when I just finished doing a Dream Builder coaching
Okay.
program, so I'm certified as a Dream Builder coach,
Oh,
and one
nice.
of their bridging tools is embracing the fear.
Oh, oh,
And what it is the fear pops up when you're about to step out of your comfort zone.
yeah, right.
And if we didn't have it, so it's like, it's befriending your fear. Befriend your fear. Well, thank you, fear. Like, yeah, I appreciate that. And you know what? We'll put you in the back seat, and I'm going to drive, and we're going to move forward, because it's really coming up, because you're ready to step out of where your comfort zone is.
Yeah,
And so instead of going, oh no, fear's coming up, oh, this is a bad thing to do, which is what we all generally think. It's like, oh, if it's, oh, there's fear, so this must be the wrong thing.
yeah,
But really, that's just the ego popping up and going, hey, you're stepping out of your boundaries. We've got our little safe spot, like right here in this little spot. It could be this big, it could be this big.
yeah,
So that fear is actually a friend,
yeah,
because it's popping up to let you know that you're at it, you're at the edge of your comfort zone. Are
yeah,
you ready to step out? Do you dare take that step to go forward and step outside of it?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
take that step.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's not easy, but
no,
that's where, when you act like, acknowledge the fear. Don't just stuff it down or just try to ignore it. Acknowledge it,
Yeah.
and then allow yourself to move past it and go, yep, I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate that. Let's try going through anyway.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Right on.
That was an eye opener for me, especially the part about, the fears when you're at the boundary. It's
Yeah.
where you're about to step over. That's where your fear is going to come up the most. And you may actually get one or two steps outside of your comfort zone. And then the fear gets even bigger. It's just like, holy crow, I don't know what I'm doing and I'm not comfortable. Let's just move back.
Yeah.
So we often will cross bridges numerous times trying to advance. And you just have to keep doing it. You have to persist.
Yeah. I mean, what can it hurt, right? I mean, you come out of it if it turns out not for you or whatever the circumstance may be, then it's a lesson. You've gained some knowledge. And you can go forward. Yeah.
Right.
It's a world filled with fear, and it's, unfortunately, and it just, what's wrong with that one little step?
Right.
Right.
And maybe you are going the wrong direction.
Yeah.
But pay attention. My other thing is to pay attention to the results you're creating, because they will tell you if you're moving towards what you're wanting or if it's not, or if you're moving in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
But most of us don't pay attention to what we're creating. We just start, this is just happening to me. Oh, that was a bad, this happened. I tried that and this happened. So that was a really bad idea.
Yeah.
Maybe you just need to tweak your idea.
Yeah.
Just and pay attention. That's one of the things that I really encourage people, the women I work with, to pay attention to your results. Pay attention to what you're creating, because much as you may or may not want to admit it, you have created everything that's in your life right now. You have created them either consciously or unconsciously by, going along with the program or, going with the flow or doing what you think, others expected you to do.
Yeah.
That has created the results you have.
Yeah, what great advice. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, that's amazing. We really do have control of what we do and where we go and our lives, and that's huge.
It is. And you may not like where you are, and you may want to go, I didn't create this.
Yeah.
And because it's really crappy. And it's like, okay, look at it this way. You have created, but guess what? You now have the option to create something different. You need to make different choices.
Yeah.
And that's what my work is all about, is helping people create different choices and understand why they made the choices in the first place.
Yeah.
And then help them to make different choices, which isn't easy. It takes effort.
So glad you're here. We all need to hear all this. That's for sure.
Well, I'm happy to share, and and it's come from the training I've done, but it also has come from the fact that I created a disaster of a life. I honestly would look back at my life. I remember talking to a boss back when I was, I don't know, around 30ish or something, and it was just before, it was the day of our Christmas party for work or something, and he said something about I absolutely love my life. There's nothing I would change about my life. Yeah. And I looked at him and said, I would change absolutely everything about my life.
Yeah.
And that was when I realized how depressed I was, that I didn't like anything about my life.
Yeah.
And he just looked at me like, what? How could you not like your life? I'm just like, no, and that was the extent of the conversation, but that was my eye opener that this is not working for me. Yeah. I really need to be looking for, I need to find something that's going to work.
Yeah. Well, that's very brave of you. You had some strength there, right?
I did. I didn't think it was strength, but again, I created it by the choices I made and trying to, right back from childhood, trying to fit in, trying to have big friends by being who I thought others wanted me to be, trying to be the best, daughter, that my mother wanted me to be, which she didn't necessarily, and it's interesting because I would take things, what she would say, I would, they would hit me in a way that she, when I talked to her later, that wasn't what I meant. I was just, I just was interested in how everybody else did in school. And it's like, my 98% wasn't good enough because, my favorite rival got 99%. So and we don't realize that how we say things or what we say, people don't always take the way that we're meaning it.
Yeah. Isn't that true?
It really is. And that has been something that I really try to remember and look at when I'm coaching people, working with people. It's like, okay, let's see how this landed for them. I don't want them to, I don't want my perceptions of, what I'm thinking you're saying to be, misinterpreted. So like, let me get clarity.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big issue with most conversations, like business, personal, whatever, is like, we're scared to ask for clarity or
Yeah.
to make sure that what we're hearing is what they're intending to say. And I think like with text messages and emails, it's much harder. You cannot understand, like a lot of times,
Yeah.
you have no idea somebody's joking.
No.
Oftentimes, like if you're talking to them, you can get that jovial, oh, they're joking kind of thing.
Yeah.
But in a text, you may miss that and you're like, oh, well, what the heck? And it can cause major misunderstandings.
Oh, yeah. Especially if they forget like an emoji or something to.
Well, well,
What's
and if
the
you don't
world?
understand, and if you don't understand the emoji, it's like, what the heck is this emoji mean?
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people who's like, I don't know what this emoji means.
Yeah.
I'll do a smiley face.
Yeah. They could be telling you right off and you give them a smiley face.
Yeah. And that's just it. Or you may think they're telling you off and they're actually trying to encourage you. It's just, communication is an art that's really, I think, has been lost.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I so agree. 100%. Yeah.
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 So,
I mean, in a world where everything's become like technical, like technology, and
yeah.
it's become a lot easy and fast, but you sometimes need to take that telephone call,
Yeah.
hear the smile in their voice, or, just be able to feel that emotion that's coming across.
Yes.
I
That
miss
is so
that.
true.
Oh, I miss that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm pleased with Zoom. Love Zoom.
Yes. Oh, I love it because this is a great tool.
Yeah.
I know there's always like the call conferencing and things like that where you can
Yeah.
use the phone calls that way. But this is amazing because you can see the other person. You can,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I can see you. That's not letting you're not getting you're not understanding what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But a lot of people won't say it. I don't. Can you explain that? I don't get it. And I encourage people to do that. If you don't understand what I'm saying, if it's not making sense, stop me and tell me.
Yeah.
Even like in a conversation at work or with my family, it's like, if it's not landing, let me know because we don't need to have misinformation happening.
Right. Oh, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
So what sparked your interest within your career? Like when you first started?
It was a struggle to find something to make me want to keep living.
Oh, okay.
That was it. And then realizing as I kept exploring and digging and trying new things, realized, and it took probably a good decade for me to realize that I wanted to be able to help people so that they didn't end up going through this same struggle because it really was a struggle. And it was probably more like 2 decades of looking and trying different things and exploring, and not knowing how to implement it.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing. Like I would get the information, like you can read books and it makes sense, but it's like, how do I integrate it into my life?
Yeah.
What do I do differently? So that was a key piece for me. It was like trying to figure out how do I implement that into my life, and that's what's really sparked my desire to help other women understand who they are at a soul level, what their divine truth is, and how can they embrace it and live it and integrate it into their life and live from their soul.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Well, you've definitely helped me in this conversation we're having.
Well, thank you. I'm glad. That's probably one of the best compliments I could ever have is like just somebody saying, oh, you know what? Gained something from this conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what is the best piece of advice you received with regards to your career?
Yeah. Do what makes you happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that was more from reading and all the work I did. It was like, it's important to be happy.
Yeah.
I remember my dad, and my dad was a farmer, and he, was born in 27. So like, I mean, he went through some tough times, and farming was not an easy life.
Yeah.
And I remember him clearly saying, just be thankful you have a job. It doesn't matter if you like it.
Yeah.
And that was the advice, was like, you need to have a job. And yeah, that makes sense. But when you don't like your job and you're spending so much time there, it really eats away at your soul.
Oh,
So really love what you're doing,
absolutely.
and question like, why am I doing this if I don't love it?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I was in that position as well. Like I think a lot of people in our generation were,
Yeah,
where you got the first job and hung on to it. You know,
yeah,
but you're
yeah,
so right. Like you have to love absolutely everything about your choice because
yeah,
it's not like work. You know,
yeah.
you're excited to get up and go, instead of
Yes.
dreading to jump in the shower and get ready
Yeah.
and
Or my favorite was waking up and going, do I feel sick enough not to go in
yes.
today? And really, when that is how you start your day, really need to take that as a wake up call that something is wrong with your life
Yeah.
and you
Oh,
need to do something different.
yeah.
Uh,
Oh my goodness. Okay, this is awesome. So, now here's the question I ask everyone through this conversation is what advice would you give your younger self now?
Can I be really blunt?
Yes.
Don't give a damn what anybody else thinks about you.
Right.
Be who you are, be true to yourself. That is the
Absolutely.
biggest piece of advice I would have given my younger self, is just be who you are. Don't worry about pleasing others.
Yeah.
Because guess what? It's a losing battle. You're never going to please everybody.
Right. Yeah.
But
Oh, I
uh,
agree totally. I
but on
think,
the other hand, if I hadn't lived how I lived, I wouldn't be who I am now. So there is the benefit of hindsight and realizing that going through all that has paid off in the end. But no,
yeah.
I would really wish somebody had told me to be myself, not worry about what everybody else thinks.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. So what advice would you give the woman starting her career changing her career for that matter?
First off, know who you are at soul level,
Okay.
and then do whatever aligns with your soul,
No.
because that is the only way you're going to be truly happy. And when you align with your soul, it doesn't limit you. It actually expands it. It changes the way you look at the actions you take.
Yeah.
So you can still be whatever you want to be. You can still do what you want to do. You're just going to do it in a way that aligns with you.
Yeah. Oh, that's
And that's we're just like, yeah, really know who you are and then follow that.
yeah.
Don't try to, I think a lot of people go after like, because I'm doing coaching, and coaching really is who I am at a soul level. That is, really part of who I am. Um, but taking coaching training, and they're talking about like, coaches can make so much money, and everybody's like, oh, I'm going to be a coach because I can make money and only work 5 hours a week or whatever. And it doesn't work like that. Not for everybody. Not everybody was meant to be a coach. Not everybody knows how to coach. And that's because the world doesn't need everybody to be coaches. The world needs a variety of things. So, really follow who you are, what aligns with you. That is what's really going to make you successful.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, Shelley, it's been a blessing having you on today.
Well,
Been-
thank you. I've enjoyed
Yeah.
being here.
Oh, great. Well, I hope you can come back and we can chat again and talk about all your courses and everything that you've taken and, and where you're going further with it.
That would be wonderful. And
Excellent.
thank
Well,
you so much for the time we've
oh,
spent
you're
with me.
welcome.
It's been great.
Yeah, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you again.
Awesome. Me too. Take
Thank you.
care.
Thank you for joining us at the Three Moons, Three Souls podcast.